Trying to put a face to a name. Riveting.
Yes.
Yeah. Meet you.
And I do detect a quorum with myself, Councilmember Allen, Councilmember Cap, Councilmember Gadd is here, Councilmember Gamble, Councilmember Harrell, Councilmember Coopin, and Councilmember Rutherford present. The first item on our agenda is public comment. I don't believe we had anybody sign up ahead of time. Is there anybody in the gallery wishing to make a public comment today? Seeing none, I'll declare the public comment period closed. And next on our agenda is the consent agenda. I currently have everything on the consent agenda except for items 9 and 13. That is RS 2025-1543 and BL 2025-1052. Before I read the captions of the items on the consent agenda, is there anything else that needs to be removed? I'm not hearing any right now. If there's any after I read the captions, we can remove them at that time. I'll now go forward to reading the captions of the consent agenda. Up first, RS 2025-1522, a resolution authorizing grants not exceeding $5,458,000 from the Barnes Fund for affordable housing to certain nonprofits for the express purpose of constructing and rehabilitating affordable or workplace housing. Item number 2, RS 2025-1523, a resolution authorizing grants not exceeding $9,750,000 from the Barnes Fund for affordable housing to certain nonprofits for the express purpose of constructing and rehabilitating affordable or workforce housing. Item number 3, RS 2025-1524, a resolution authorizing grants not exceeding $6,328,415.10 from the Barnes Fund for affordable housing to fund a previously expired grant to certain nonprofits for the express purpose of constructing and rehabilitating affordable or workplace housing. Item number 4, RS 2025-1525, a resolution to approve the Second Amendment to a grant contract for constructing affordable housing approved by RS 2022-1857 between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, acting by and through the Metropolitan Housing Trust Fund Commission and Habitat for Humanity of Greater Nashville. Item number 25, RS 2025-1526, a resolution to approve the Second Amendment to a grant contract for constructing affordable housing approved by RS 2022-1857 between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, acting by and through the Metropolitan Housing Trust Fund Commission and Urban Housing Solutions. Item number 6, RS 2025-1527, a resolution to approve the Third Amendment to a grant contract for constructing affordable housing. Wait, did I go backwards? No. To construct affordable housing approved by RS 2022-1857 between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, acting by and through the Metropolitan Housing Trust Fund Commission and Woodbine Community Organization, Inc. Item number 7, RS 2025-1540, a resolution approving a participation agreement between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, acting by and through the Metropolitan Department of Water and Sewage Services and E3 Construction Services, LLC, to provide water service improvements for E3 Construction's proposed development, as well as other existing properties in the area. Item number 8, RS 2025-1542, a resolution to amend ordinance number BL 2024-632 as amended to authorize the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to modify the acceptance of public sewer main and to update map and parcel information for 2 properties located at 227 Nesbitt Lane and Nesbitt Lane unnumbered, also known as 253 Nesbitt Lane Phase 1. Item number 9 is not on consent. Item number 10, RS 2025-1544, a resolution authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to accept a new public water main for 3 properties located at 112 and 114 Richmond Street and 113 Wilmington Street. Item number 11, BL 2025-1049, an ordinance amending the First Amendment to a lease agreement between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County and Little Big Properties, LLC, for office space located at 150 2nd Avenue North. Item number 12, BL 2025-1051, an ordinance authorizing the abandonment of a portion of Union Bridge Road between Pasco Road and Union Bridge Road. Item number 13 is not on consent. Item number 14, BL 2025-1053, an ordinance authorizing the abandonment of J.J. Watson Avenue right-of-way from dead end, then southeast 288 feet. Item number 15, BL 2025-1054, an ordinance authorizing Vision Nashville West End LLC to construct, install, and maintain aerial and underground encroachments at 110 20th Avenue North. Item number 16, BL 2025-1056, an ordinance authorizing the state of Tennessee to construct, install, and maintain underground encroachments at 103 6th Avenue North and 320 6th Avenue North. Item number 17, BL 2025-1057, an ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to accept new sanitary sewer main, sanitary sewer manhole, and easements for property located at 312 Stewart's Ferry Pike. Item number 18, BL 2025-1058, an ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to accept new sanitary sewer mains, sanitary sewer manholes, and easements for two properties located at 5029 and 5038 Clarksville Pike. Item number 19, BL 2025-1059, an ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to abandon existing sanitary sewer and temporary construction easement rights for a property located at 905 Otter Creek Road. And finally, item 20, BL 2025-1060, an ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to abandon a portion of existing easement rights for property located at 934 Crescent Hill Road. Are there any items that need to be removed from the consent agenda? Seeing none, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Moved, do we have a second? Moved and seconded, all in favor? Any opposed? Any not voting? The consent agenda is approved, 9 in favor, 0 opposed, and 0 not voting. The first item not on the consent agenda is item number 9, RS 2025-1543. This is a resolution authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to abandon a fire hydrant assembly and to accept new public water and sanitary sewer mains, fire hydrant assembly, and sanitary sewer manholes for property located at 1245 Kenmore Place. Sponsors Benedict Horton and Evan Siegel. We have an amendment by the primary sponsor, Emily Benedict. She is absent. I believe the amendment to be a housekeeping one. In her absence, do we have a motion to approve the amendment? Moved and seconded. All in favor? Any opposed? Any not voting? The amendment is approved, 9 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Do we have a motion for the resolution as amended? Moved. Do we have a second? Seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Any not voting? The resolution is approved as amended, 9 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. The second and last item not on the consent agenda is BL 2025-1052, an ordinance authorizing the abandonment of unnamed right-of-way and utility easements off West Trinity Lane. Sponsors Toom, Horton, and Evan Siegel. We have an amendment for this one as well. Councilmember Toombs, you wish to be recognized on the amendment. Sorry, just one moment, please. I think your works now.
Thank you, Chair. If someone on the committee could move the amendment.
Moved. We have a second. Second. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor? Any opposed? Any not voting? Amendment is approved. 9 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Do we have a motion for the bill as amended? Moved. Do we have a second? Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Any not voting? The bill is approved as amended, 9 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. That concludes our agenda for today. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Oh, wait, sorry. Oh, we have a presentation. Sorry, Planning Department. We have a presentation from the Planning Department about the capital improvements budget. What is theirs? Okay, planning table, I think your mics should be working.
Okay, Mic on? All right. James Guthrie, Capital Planner with Metro Planning Department, here to kick off the fiscal year 2027 capital improvement budget cycle, which starts with the council request cycle. So this is kind of your annual refresher on this process. So we'll go over capital planning in general, how it fits within Metro, what the capital improvements budget or CIB is, and how that fits in with capital planning, and then get into the kind of the technical details of how you will interact with our database to kick off that with your review and request process. So first of all, as a reminder, a capital improvement is any building structure, work, or improvement with an average life of at least 10 years and a cost greater than $50,000. So any expenditure that's below that cost or below that duration threshold, those are considered operational expenses that are financed through the operation budget that you adopt each year. And any capital improvement, anything above that threshold, must be included in the CIB before it can be funded. So while capital improvements that Metro funds have to be included in the CIB, being in the CIB itself does not guarantee funding, and the CIB does not allocate any funding. The CIB really functions as a catalog of potential projects, and capital projects move forward by being selected or ordered from that catalog. Most projects are funded through general obligation bonds, through a capital spending plan that is adopted in June. At the end of the cycle, there are other sources of funding, such as revenue bonds, 4% funds, enterprise funds, or operating budget from a department, or federal or state funding. But most of these are going to be funded through the capital spending plan. Those capital spending plans are selections of CIB projects that receive funding and are ready to go forward. The CIB includes 6 years of projects, but only projects that have a first year cost amount, so that are ready to go. That first year amount is binding. This annual cycle kicks off right now in October with the council request process. That will run through October. But for your initial requests, then we coordinate with departments as part of that council request process as well. Then in April is when we submit a CIB draft to the Planning Commission for approval. That goes to the mayor's office. The mayor's draft is submitted in May and then comes back to you for council approval of the final CIB in June. So how to read the CIB? The CIB is structured into 3 parts, or 4 parts. There's an introduction. Section 1 and 2 are a list of projects organized by the funding tax district. And most of the CIB is Section 3, which that includes the project details. This is an example of a typical page in the CIB, Section 3, with those project details. Looking at the top of the page, we have the project ID highlighted in the first red box. So it's 19 DS quadruple 44, construction of sidewalks on Central Pike. This is what the CIB detail page looks like. And later, when you submit the projects and you have your project request cycle, you will be asked to enter project titles, project descriptions. This is where those show up. So this kind of gives you an idea of the type of information you would include in the title, something that's short, but just long enough to be kind of uniquely identifiable for the project it is. And then the project description will give a little bit more detail. There's also a map, a list of funding details, and then there's an assessment of how the project aligns with Nashville Next, our general plan. This is an assessment that the planning department puts together as part of our work. And there's that core part in the middle of each project where we lay out all of the different views of the priority for each project, how well it aligns with not just the general plan for the MPC consideration, but department priority, and then also council priority that will be established by this body. This is when you get the list of all the projects and assign your priority points to them. When you submit requests, there will also be a field for project need. Note that that does not show up here. That's more of internal information contextualization that helps with the prioritization process. So this is what the prioritization key looks like, how it aligns with Nashville Next principles. And then you all get the more detail on the department priority and the council priority. That's the ranking among all the projects that council awarded any points to, and which council members ranked it. Because there are so many different kinds of projects in the CIB, thousands of projects, 300 plus pages, to give them some structure and to make some sense of it so it's somewhat navigable, we organize them into these overarching programs so that you have a sense of where similar projects are grouped together and how funding requests across those different programs compare to each other. This is a comparison of some of the major CIB programs. Some of these are just going to be single line items, but some of them will be collections of lots of individual projects, such as the MNPS school renovation program. Within Section 3 of the CIB, here's an example of how one of those programs shows up as an introduction, where we provide overview details at the top and a countywide map that shows the various project locations of projects associated with that program. And then here is how the sub-projects within a program show up with their details and how they're organized. You can see that these are individual library projects that are all within the facilities master plan program for libraries. So again, that's just how we give it some structure and try to make it navigable and make sense about it. So any questions about the CIB before we get into the council request cycle, your logins, review and requests? Yes.
Just one moment, Councilmember Alice. There's your button. Sorry, you're already on. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. So I have a question, or more so a request, perhaps. Is there any way that we could add, like the section that you have the council rank and the planning commission, like that little section there? Forgot what slide it was on. Is there any way that we can add an indication of how many years the request has actually been in the CIB? So for instance, I have some CIBs from back in 2017. And unless, I explain to one of my constituents how to read the actual code number, they wouldn't know that.
So this would be for when we publish the CIB document itself, not for what you see in when you log in. Is that correct?
That is correct, yeah.
I believe that is something we can do, add that information separate from, just trying to decode but from the item year.
Okay,
the item
perfect.
ID.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. So now we will go into the council request process. Again, so this starts in October right now with this kickoff, and council staff has distributed your login to get into review process from last year. You'll have until October 31st to submit requests for new projects and review your current ones that rolled forward from the 2026 CIB. Then we'll take all of those requests and the ones that you approve to carry forward, give them back to departments for review, get their comments, compile all that together for you, and return to council with a final report by December 15th. That will include cost estimates, so the departments will look at your requests and determine how much they cost. I brought up that cost threshold for CIB items at the beginning, $50,000. That's not expected that you need to know whether or not your project meets that threshold. If you have an idea for a project, put it in there. If it's below it, that'll be up to the department to determine that it's below that threshold. Projects will also determine how they align with their own master plan, other programs, any other information that they have. In mid to late January, there's typically a joint meeting with Budget and Finance, Planning and Zoning, and the historical committees where you will establish the council priorities. So the NAC website, this is the tool that we will be using. It's an online database. And this is the landing page that you'll see when you go to the NAC site. You'll also be able to come back to this by clicking home at any point while you're on the site. There will be a login tab for you. Council staff has emailed that to you, or at least what we had at last check. If you have updated your password on your own, we don't have that. That would be between you and the NAC app to reset that. And there's an option there for if you've forgotten your password. And then once you're logged in, you'll be able to see your projects and make new requests for your district. Those are the two primary tasks that are part of the council request cycle. And we'll get into what those look like within the site. So first is the review of current CIB projects. Those are the ones that roll forward from 2026 that are associated by location for your district. They're assigned geographically. There will be an area on the right over there where you can see the resubmit status and click to view or edit the resubmit status. Your options there will be to have it remain in the CIB, flag it as not in your district, no longer needed in the CIB. And you can also make a comment about any of those changes or to update any of the project details. There's also a link to view the project details. You can see that here. This is where you can see the project description and the project need and some of the cost estimate as of last year. There's also on the far left, there's a column for flagged. That is something that would only, so far, like if it shows up now, it's carried forward from last year. We flag projects if there's some issues, such as if a department does the cost estimate and it's below 50,000. Potentially there's an easier way to accomplish that project outside of the CIB. Or if the implementing department has requested further coordination, it'll show up with that little flag icon in that column. In most of these cases, if it's flagged, the default resubmit status will be no longer needed in CIB. You can change it to come back to request to carry it forward, but you have to change that and add a comment about how the issue, you can see it being resolved for it to stay in the CIB. Finally, the next step is to request a new project. So there's a tab, Add New Project, and you will be able to enter the project title. Now, remembering back to what these look like within Section 3 of the CIB. Again, it's a short description, only as long as it takes to be kind of uniquely identifiable. And then the project description is where you give more details about the scope. So more detail is helpful here. If it's a sidewalk, naming the beginning of the intersection where you expect it to begin, the intersection where it ends, so that NDOT, in that case, would be the implementing department, can score it and estimate the cost accurately. And again, this is the project description is the part that would be public, but the project need is where you get to explain why the project is needed. This could be your interpretation of how it aligns with Nashville Next Department master plan, or any specific details that you have from your district about why this project is needed. Again, more detail helps here. Instead of just putting safety, example language could be, this is a high accident location, or constituents have said that they have trouble crossing the street here. Those types of details to justify the project need are more helpful. And that also will help with the scoring of the prioritization, both MPC and department priorities. Okay, so, and that is the overview of how to navigate NAC, how to review the projects from your district to carry forward for the next CIB cycle and to request new projects. And you can ask questions now, or that is my email where we can also follow up.
I see we have a question from Councilmember Gamble. Councilmember Gamble, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I have a question about items that I didn't necessarily put on the list. There are several items on the CIB that I guess come from departments. How does that process go? Is it related to countywide or specific region or area? How are those projects, how is it selected on which department projects go to which council member?
Thank you, Councilmember. Greg Claxton with the Metro Nashville Planning Department. Departments, when they submit their requests through the regular budget cycle, they have the ability to identify projects that apply to different council districts. In some cases, they may say something is countywide. so they mark all of them. We try to get them to sort of keep, if it's countywide, just sort of say that it's countywide. But in some cases, they do have programs that touch several different council districts, and so they identify those. There's nothing you need to do with that. It'll be sort of department discretion to resubmit, but if you've got comments, we can pass on to the departments. We're happy to do that.
Thank you. That was my next question, because some of them, I'm not aware of what the project is, and I may support it. I don't know. So, but if I have questions, I need to reach out to you.
You can include it if you make a note within that NAC website, or if you want to reach out directly to either James or myself, you're welcome to do so.
All right, thanks.
Councilmember Ellis is asking a question. Councilmember Ellis, you're recognized.
Thank you. So I have a question. The new infrastructure study that's being done, that you have so graciously led, Mr. Claxton, wonderful job. How are any of those plans or details going to get incorporated into the CIB, or is that going to be something totally different?
I think that is something we may provide guidance on with our infrastructure assessment, which is still underway and forthcoming. Generally, we look as a starting point within that to the department's own master plans, and we're assessing those as part of that assessment. So our starting point would be their CIB requests. If there is additional things that are needed, we may make recommendations for that, but I don't know that we would have them fully worked out and ready to go into the CIB. It would kind of feed into their own capital plans.
Got it. So we, because I was hoping that we would get the infrastructure plan before the CIBs were due, in case there was an infrastructure need in our district that we weren't aware of. So I guess my question really should be, when can we expect the infrastructure part of the study?
Like I said, it's underway now. Our hope is to have it ready in November, but it's something we're kind of actively working on amidst the other pieces of the housing and infrastructure study.
Thank you. Councilmember Evan Siegel, I saw you had a question as well. You're recognized.
Thanks, Chair, for recognizing me, even though I'm not on the committee. One thing I was really confused about last year when I was looking at the items available is that for many years, transportation-related items, sidewalks, road improvements, bike lane improvements, a lot of that has ended up in the CIB. And I was getting a little confused as to what would be funded through the CIB versus what should move over to Chime. And I was wondering if there was going to be a way other than just emailing and asking you about all of it, that we could see what was really more appropriately Chime funded, or flag those in some way, especially on the things that have been on there for several years, because my gut tells me that a lot of the transportation infrastructure on the CIB could fall into Chime, but it's just kind of hard to know sometimes.
Sure. And that's something where I would want to defer to the Chime program office to sort of have them give you a talk through kind of how they identify what projects are funded within that, since it's got, a very specific funding source that's distinct from the general obligation bonds that are a little bit more flexible. So what we have tried to do is identify which programs within the CIB and occasionally individual projects are implementing Chime, and we've kind of pulled those together at the front of last year's CIB to get those all into one place so that they're visible. Now, that's not always necessarily in individual segments, although in some cases it is. But that's how we've tried to, sort of recognize this new funding source that's a little different from the other programs that we have.
Any other further questions for planning at this point?
Thank you all so much.
Thank you. The last item on our agenda, do we have a motion to adjourn? Moved. Second? Meeting is adjourned.
October 30th.